It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and we're wrapping up another month. It's the end of February 1990. This is February 23rd. We've got 5 movies to look at today. None of them really have a whole lot of memorability to them, but we'll look at them anyway. So, let's not waste any time. Let's jump right on into it with the first movie, and that is Dabney Coleman in Where the Heart Is. So, wait a minute. I'm confused here. So, Dabney Coleman is a guy that wants to demolish a building, but his children make fun of him, and he decides to put him in that house that he wants to tear down. And then he loses everything, and I don't know what the hell's going on in this movie. I mean, this looks like a movie that's, I don't know what they were thinking when they made this movie. It's just so much stuff is going on. None of it really makes a whole lot of sense. I'm so confused on this whole premise right here. Dabney Coleman's a demolitions expert, wants to tear down this house. When his children make fun of him, and he's just like, okay, go live in the house I want to tear down. And then sooner or later his stocks go down, he's broke. Now he's got to go into this house. It's just like, I'm so confused on this movie. I'm so confused on what the concept of this movie is. And you saw Christopher Plummer in there. Guess what his character's name is? Shitty. I'm not even making it up. It's his name. The name of his character in this movie is called Shitty. What is this movie? I mean, this just seems so out of place and so bizarre for especially for John Borman, the guy who directed Deliverance, Excalibur, and this is one of the movies he directs. Man, this is a mess of a movie. This is just a major mess of a film that makes no sense whatsoever. The plot is all over the place. The characters aren't played very well, despite the good casting they have here. Dabney Coleman, Joanna Cassidy, young Uma Thurman, Crispin Glover, Christopher Plummer. But I don't know what the hell is going on in this movie. Just stuff is happening all over the place, and it's just like, it makes no sense whatsoever. You can tell this movie was not going to have a lasting impact, because the trailer doesn't even know what the hell it wants to tell, the story it wants to tell. So, there you go. Where the Heart Is. What a bizarre movie this is. So, on to the next movie. Certainly not quite as confusing as Where the Heart Is, but still kind of confusing. I mean, it looks like this was New Line's attempt to try to create another Mad Max type of success, because this is an Australian-American hybrid post-apocalyptic film. And, again, good cast to it. Rutger Hauer, Joan Chen, Vincent D'Onofrio, Delroy Lindo. But, I mean, it doesn't look anything too special, honestly. I mean, I haven't seen it, but judging by this trailer, it doesn't really show a lot of promise to it, at least in my opinion. So, that's my quick thought on this one here. Maybe it's something I'm not aware of, but I don't see the appeal here. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. Yeah, this is another one of those martial arts action films that they were trying to make something like a Bloodsport or a Kickboxer, those type of movies. But imagine that, except without the appeal of somebody like Jean-Claude Van Damme. Instead, we get Olivier Gruna. And this movie pretty much tells you why not every single martial artist or wrestler can be an actor. You need to have some kind of charisma to him. And this guy, Olivier Gruna, judging by this trailer that I saw, you only saw a little bit of the clips there, but when I watched this trailer, it's just like, yeah, this is the type of stuff the critic was making fun of when they had John Paul the Pope and all that kind of stuff. They were making fun of actors like this guy, these action stars that think they could be actors, but they really are not, and this movie just shows you why that is, because it's just like, this is another one of those trailers that makes no sense whatsoever. Like, it starts off like it's going to be like a Boys in the Hood type of movie, or Menace to Society, and then it just randomly switches over to the martial arts effect, and it's just like, what are you even trying to sell me here? Like, this doesn't even feel like a movie that should be up on the big screen. It should be on a TV screen on a late Sunday night on USA or something like that. But, so yeah, that's my quick thoughts on Angel Town. Something I haven't seen, but man, this is another. We're getting a lot of misleading trailers that just don't make a whole lot of sense here. So Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. And this trailer makes more sense. It's Mountains of the Moon. Yeah, at least with this trailer, this at least makes more sense than some of the other trailers we've looked at today. This is basically two guys looking for discovering the source of the Nile River, and you have this rivalry going on in this big epic adventure, and it looks pretty good. I haven't seen it. It's got a decent cast to it. Some mostly relatively unknowns. Patrick Bergin, Ian Glenn. I think Richard E. Grant's one of the bigger names you might know of, and Fiona Shaw as well. Produced by the same Carol Cole, the same company who would later produce Total Recall and Terminator 2. Bob Rafelson directed this movie. Bob Rafelson also directed Black Widow, the other Black Widow with Deborah Winger in it, and The Postman Always Rings Twice, 5 Easy Pieces, King of Marvin Gardens. So it's not a bad movie. So it doesn't look like a bad movie, and it looks like it has a lot of effort put into it with some of these shots they have here. It looks like it could be a decent movie. It's one that I haven't heard too much about, but this trailer doesn't have a lot of promise to it. Plus, you got the cinematography of Roger Deakins. Anything that guy touches is almost instant gold. So yeah, it looks promising enough. Let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is Spontaneous Combustion. Is this really something Tobe Hooper should be really proud of as a director? I mean, the only thing I've ever heard about this movie or even know about this movie before I watched this trailer was the fact that John Landis has a cameo in here, and he apparently shoots fire out of his mouth or something like that. That I remember seeing it on like an Angry Video Game Nerd episode. I can't remember which one. I'll put the clip in here real quick.
James actually talked to John Landis about this at like a horror convention.
Yeah.
What did you say? Something like...
Well, I asked him. I told him my favorite still that existed of him was the "Breathing Fire" from Spontaneous Combustion.
Yeah, he didn't seem too thrilled that you brought that up.
But yeah, this movie. That was my only indication of this movie's existence, was watching the AVGN episode. Well, it's not even Angry Video Game Nerd. It was a DVD collection review for Mike McTee. But this movie. For a movie from the director of Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Salem's Lot and Life Force, is this really a movie that you want to say is one of his crowning achievements? Because it's just like that trailer just made it seem like this was more of an important movie than it really is. I mean, when you get you can get Don LaFontaine to say whatever you want, and it'll sound like an epic adventure, but it's like, or an epic thriller, but it's just like, with this movie. I mean, it's one of those movies where maybe with a good script, this concept could have probably worked, but it gets really silly really fast. Like, it gets so ridiculous, it gets so lazy, it gets so cheap, it just doesn't work the way I think they wanted it to. I think they wanted to make something better than this movie did, but it just didn't work. It just didn't work on any level. I mean, with a cast that includes Brad Dourif, Melinda Dillon, and it even has John Landis in it, you would expect a little bit better than this, but unfortunately that's not the case. Spontaneous Combustion is not going to be one of those movies that we'll remember mostly from Tobe Hooper's filmography. In fact, it's movies like this that make you wonder if Poltergeist really worked mostly because of Steven Spielberg's influence than Tobe Hooper, because really, this is one of those movies where he's on his own. It's just like, yeah, this isn't working, bud. So that's my thoughts on Spontaneous Combustion. So that wraps up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time around, we jump into the month of March, and we started off on a positive note. We've got the first Jack Ryan movie, Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin in The Hunt for Red October. We'll talk about that one, and we'll also talk about Too Beautiful for You. So, 2 movies to look at next time around. One a classic, one, well, I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but we'll definitely talk about it next time around. So thank you guys for watching. And as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode as well. I'll see you guys tomorrow for a new episode. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a good night. See you tomorrow. Till the next time I see you, take care.